This is Jill Thompson, and I'm going to provide an analysis of the ideal customer for Nordic Wolf Mead. So mead is increasing in popularity. It's classified as an unfortified wine made from raw honey, fruit, spices, and other natural ingredients. But what's interesting about mead is that a lot of meaderies now are crafting it similar to craft brews and experimenting and coming up with some real unique varieties. So it's gaining popularity and attention. It doesn't contain gluten or sulfites. If it's made all naturally, then you can classify it as a natural product. It's sustainable and good for the bees because it's honey, and with colony collapse disorder and disappearing bees, the more wildflowers that are planted is said to be a reason for increasing the bee population and therefore helping to save more bees. And also the need for honey would then obviously create a need for more. Oh my God, why did I mess that up? Crap. This is Jill Thompson, and I'm going to provide an analysis of the ideal customer for Nordic Wolf Mead. So Nordic Wolf Mead is a mead production company, and mead is increasing in popularity. So we're looking at the reasons why customers are buying mead to see where our ideal customers are. Mead's classified as an unfortified wine made from raw honey, fruits, spices, and other natural ingredients, and it's crafted like local brews. So that's where some of the interest is coming from, because it's local and it's crafted. Doesn't contain gluten or sulfites. It's good for the environment because the bees produce the honey, and therefore with a need for more honey to produce mead, there need to be more bee apiaries and flowers, which is helping and can help with colony collapse disorder. And it embraces history and folklore spirit, because many people who tend to like mead are also into celebrating folklore, following certain shows, wanting to drink the earliest, or what's said to be the earliest form of alcohol known to man. So there's this subculture, so to speak, related to that history and folklore. So does the general public embrace mead? Well, basically mead is one of the earliest fermented beverages, but not a lot of people know about mead. It's growing in popularity, and more people are finding out about mead, trying mead, and enjoying mead. But some of the misconceptions that are out there from early home brewers is that it's either too sweet, heavy, cloying, that it's only made from honey and water. They don't know that there's fruits and spices that are added and crafted to it. The craft movement is helping mead enjoy a revival for this reason, because there's a lot of different varieties being made, from dry to semi-dry to sweet, and a big range in between there. So a lot of people enjoy that there's different varieties and that they can try different types of mead. People like that mead is eco-conscious. And also, it's the fastest growing alcoholic beverage, especially in the last few years. So one quote taken from Market Watch magazine, or mag.com, is that there's a broad spectrum of consumers seeking mead. The drink requires a bit of hand selling on and off premise for people who are unfamiliar with it. And that's for the reasons that I outlined before. So analyzing the market, we're going to look at the demographics, the geographics, the psychographics, and the behavior graphics. So who is currently buying mead? Well, multi-generational males and females, but there's a focus on millennial and Gen Xers. People who embrace history, historical reenactment, and folklore, like Lord of the Rings and other fantasy tales, because mead in some of those tales is the drink that the characters are drinking. And then those who watch Game of Thrones, Vikings, for the same reason, mead is a popular drink among those shows and other shows that are based on medieval times. And that is historically correct because mead was actually one of the first alcohols, and it was said to be an accident where they were fermenting fruits and honey, water got added in, it fermented, and then they discovered mead. People who like eating and drinking natural foods and are eco-friendly are drawn to mead because it's a natural product, and people feel that honey is good for you, and it's also good for the environment. Trendsetters who are looking for an alternative beverage. So beer and wine and some of the other beverages that have been around for a while are beverages that our parents drank. And so a lot of millennials especially are looking for an alternative beverage. So I did a Facebook quick poll and didn't get, a ton of results, but it was interesting to just see what the results were based off this quick poll to see, how many people out of my poll numbers actually tried mead and liked it. So there were 20 people, and you'll see that they ranged in ages, and many of them, not many of them, but probably about half of them had tried mead and liked it. And then there were others who, hadn't necessarily tried mead but were open to trying it. So out of those people, it was interesting because Facebook, I don't think, is one of the top social media platforms that's used by millennials. And my focus on this presentation is taking a look at millennials rather than the Gen Xers and baby boomers as a potential target audience. So I didn't get a good poll from Facebook, but might want to consider looking at other social media, other ways to poll those customers to see what they think. Although it did show that other generations are interested and have tried mead and have liked it for the most part. So as I mentioned, targeting millennials as a segment. So the Nordic Wolf branding will focus on experience, including the Step Back in Time Mead Hall. Experiential millennials are coming to Asheville, and that's where the business will be opening and starting up. So we wanted to look at whether there'd be a draw for millennials in that area, and those that are coming are looking for experiences. Growing generation taking over the workforce. Millennials, 27% of the 71% above 21 that drink some form of alcohol in the U.S. are those numbers, and they have disposable income. Millennials like to support local sharing experiences and want to be unique, so those are all things to take into consideration when targeting that group. 69% of millennials consider themselves adventurous and are loyal to their brands. They appreciate creative labeling and value authenticity. And when it comes to flavor, nothing is too extreme for millennials. And so I say this because mead is unique, and there are some extreme things being done with mead. There's different alcohol levels within the unfermented category of 16% and below. There's different things being added to mead, so it shows that they are a target audience that would most likely be open to trying mead and trying different varieties, as well as the fact that we're looking to approach our business with the Step Back in Time theme and have some creative and fun labeling that goes along with that. And it was interesting to hear that they do appreciate creative labeling. And authenticity is so important to us as a company, and so we are going to come forward as an authentic, responsible, sustainable company. Millennial consumers have been the most accepting, says Glenda Downs, the Director of Sales and Marketing at Sky River Meadery in Redmond, Washington. So that's interesting to see that she's noting that they've been the most accepting. Two segments of millennials are important for us to focus on because they are really a different target. There's the 21 to 29-year-olds who are just starting their careers, may or may not be married, starting families, but probably more so single, and have some extra income where they're interested in going out and having a good time. Then there's the 30 to 38-year-olds who are more established with families, also interested in having a good time and being out with friends, but they're on different levels in terms of the types of experiences they may be looking for based on where they're at in their life. So let's take a look at the millennials and focus on a demographic of male millennials that looks like they may be a good target audience for us. So there's the social drinker who is a male millennial. And this is the profiles, and there's 76% of this population who are 25 to 34 years old, 84%, married, 31%, college, 74.2%, and with children, 47.5%. So these are the statistics of the social drinkers, the people that are out there looking to have a good time while they're drinking. Not to draw attention to drinking too much. Certainly we want to be a responsible company and promote safe drinking, but this ties into that having a good time and attending a festival or a party or something where it's an experience, and that's what we're hoping to create at Nordic Wolf Mead. So it goes on in this survey to talk about their profile and that they like cars and sports cars and they're into the outdoors and sports and activities. And it was just interesting to get a little bit more information about what their interests are, because that can help with targeting them as a demographic. So then looking at the female millennials and those that embrace food and drink, and what is it about those experiences that they like. And so this was an interesting survey that gave a little bit more information about what it is that this gender is interested in when it comes to food. And it talks about nutrition and looking for things that are all natural and sustainable. And so there's some really good information in here that we can use as we continue to expand and identify and target the female millennials. So the geographics are also important for us to look at in Asheville. And there's the local customers, and then there's also the tourists. And I'll get into that a little bit more in the next slide. But looking at the average household income and then the average median age, we see that there's really that range of, the later millennial to Gen Xers, but there is a growing percent of millennials. So there's 91,209 according to this U.S. Census Bureau report in the population within the city limits. There's 40% of those who are 25 who have a bachelor's degree or higher. And then 25 to 44 is the largest age group in Asheville, making up 28.7% of the population. Looking at the employers, who are the big employers? Mission Health, Buncombe County Schools, and Ingalls are where people are seeking out employment the most in the Asheville area. And then the median income is also important to look at. Do they have disposable income? Are they going out and spending money on experiences? And then the non-family households versus the married couple households. I think that also plays into those two segments that we were looking at with the two different types of millennials. So the geographics on tourism show that there is an increasing population of millennials coming to the Asheville area. There are an average of 29,800 people who visit Buncombe County daily, spending $5.2 million. The Buncombe County Convention and Visitors Bureau reported that 24% of the $1.9 billion spent on local business was for food and beverage. So that's important. People are going out, they're having a good time, they're wanting to enjoy themselves while they're out on vacation. Experiential millennials are a secondary target for Asheville. So there are a lot of people who retire and come to Asheville, and in the tourist population, many people are coming out as retirees just to experience Asheville. However, the millennials are that secondary target because they're a group that's coming in and wanting to experience Asheville. In fact, Forbes places Asheville as one of the 15 coolest places to go in 2018. So let's look at the behavior graphics of the millennial males. I talked about that a little bit before, but there are this group of males who are party goers. They like to share their experiences. They do have top liquors that they like, and that's interesting to note because we do have a range of meads, and some of our higher alcohol level meads that are approaching 15.5% are to have a little bit more of a liquor flavor, and they have a spicy taste to them. So that would be something that we've kind of anticipated maybe those males, that demographic, might prefer more so than the lighter meads that may have more of a wine quality. And they like to go to festivals and parties and things where they could just have a good time and have an experience. And so that's where we feel, okay, our Step Back in Time Mead Hall may appeal to this group. Continued on with that demographic, they make 76% of the demographic that's under 34 years old, mostly single, college educated, and just under half have children. So this is that group of social male millennials. They're happy to share their passion for great beverages and experiences and preferences with others. They like parties and festivals, I had mentioned that, enjoy social drinking, and enjoy the spiced liquors. And so that's just reinforcing why we think that they would be a good target audience. Looking at the behavior graphics of millennial women. So millennial women spend more money on wine than men and tend to be open to innovation in wine. So we're hoping, okay, they may be more innovative with experiencing mead, since mead is an unfortified wine. Consuming more expensive wine than their parents, and more sustainable and organic brands. Both of those things tie into mead and our company, Nordic Wolf Mead, because we are a sustainable company and we're going to be a sustainable startup company, and we also are looking towards being more natural with our products. 45% of the women polled for this market chart survey indicated big purchases are on experiences, and many say this makes them happier. So again, creating that experience where people can come in and really embrace the history and the folklore of the mead hall, and having staff dressed up and tasting something that was the early drink of the Vikings and other history, such as Greece and Asia and earlier times. Many know the origin story of their favorite brand, so that's really important too, because if we really have a compelling, authentic story about Nordic Wolf Mead and our startup, they'll want to know that, and we can share that. And then brand influencers are who they are, and they share their opinions online with friends and family. So the millennial female motivations were interesting because she wants to satisfy her cravings, keep it real, and stimulate her senses. Again, more important information to help in identifying and targeting and satisfying that customer. The psychographics of millennials, all millennials that as a group seem to enjoy drinking handcrafted brews made by small independent companies, like crafted because it's a better quality. They like locally made, they value experiences, they value flavor and freshness, and love brands that support the local community. So this seems to be a crossover for males and females. So in looking at that ideal customer, what's in common with them? So as I mentioned in the last slide, local products, we will be local. Sustainable. We're a sustainable company. Valuing experiences. We're going to make this mead hall an experience for these millennial customers that come in and want to share their evening with their friends and embrace mead. And then the unique flavors and tastes. Our meads are going to be unique. There'll be a variety of different flavors, and we think the millennials will really embrace the variety that they're able to taste in our different meads. And that's why I chose to focus on the millennial as the ideal customer for this presentation. Thank you.